that's real estate money.
And he lies to me frequently and tells me that we're broke.
We're always broke. I've never been flush. The moment I get flush, I buy a property and go broke.
You know, it's not about just getting up to make money.
Right.
Especially during these times. It's a psychological thing. It gave both of us a place to go.
Mm-hmm. It gives meaning to life. Is another way of saying it. Even, you know.
Yeah,
purpose maybe more than meaning. Maybe purpose is a better word.
Some people go to therapy, and how's the therapist, guys?
Right.
My therapy is painting. If
Right.
I'm angry about something, if I'm upset about something, if I'm stressed out about something, to be honest, going and painting calms me.
And we say painting, that's our generic term for working. It could be fixing a floor, it could be
Whatever
fixing
it
a
is
door
that
handle.
day.
I mean, it could be whatever we're doing remodeling,
Right.
which usually involves a lot of painting.
Right.
But because that's the easiest way to make things look good.
But it becomes it becomes the one thing that
It's like a coping tool.
Yeah, I mean, very much so. It is. It becomes it grounds me.
Brings order to life.
Right.
And it brings, maybe if you catch a time where you're floating, you don't know which direction to go, which I've been there many times. I know I got to go do this.
Right.
You know, and then along the way of doing that, I have an idea. Or something else comes along, you know?
Right. You know, and even with when I was a social worker and you know, I really enjoyed working with the kids that I worked with. It wasn't the thing that gave me
Right.
that I knew I had to get up and I had to go do this. You know, it didn't ground me the way that our business together grounds me. Because it isn't just a job.
Right. And you own it. You can't be fired.
Right.
No one can take it from you.
Though I have tried many times to be fired.
Try to fire ourselves. We joke about that. You're fired. But it also is a creative outlet.
Yes.
If you're an artistic type person, like I'm constantly, it's more of a joke, but I'm always like, are we home repairing or remodeling, or are we arts and crafting?
We're crafting on occasion.
Because sometimes she gets into arts and crafts, like starts making a chandelier thing, and I'm like, what the hell does this have to do with rental properties? And I always joke, if it's not from Home Depot or Lowe's,
Well,
it's not.
I could
rehabbing.
have spent $500 on that light fixture, or the $30 I spent.
Yeah, and we've done a lot of things where get on Facebook Marketplace, find an old desk, vanity, that we end up putting into a bathroom where she sands it, restains it, we varnish it, and then we put a vessel sink on top, and then she gets a cool mirror from Michael's, and it just makes the bathroom beautiful. And the whole thing we got $100 in.
Yeah.
Which would have been $700 at a box store.
Oh, easy.
Right.
Because just a base at a Home Depot for a vanity, which is just pressed wood and crap, is you're looking at upwards of $300-400 for that one that we did.
And how much nicer is it to go to an auction or an antique store or garage sale and just get a nice table, sand it down, clean it, put it in there. It makes
it's
so much
therapeutic.
Classier. Takes more time.
Yes.
And how many times on our back porch is there some furniture being worked on,
Constantly.
a table, and that ends up going into a rental?
Yes.
Or something. Yeah, she's always doing that stuff. Or we find something. So you get your outlet on creativity.
Well, and not only that, but the cost of these things is astronomical in what they really are. You know, piece of fine furniture is one thing. It's, you know, solid wood, beautiful, blah, 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 blah. And then there's press wood. And it's crap. And it's going to get destroyed. And so the amount of money that you save by doing some of these craft projects. I mean, I've saved you thousands of dollars.
I mean, tens of thousands.
On one property.
Right.
So, yeah, get off my back about the crafting.
Yeah, no, for sure, but...
And a lot of the stuff I do buy at Home Depot.
Right.
And so then it's no longer a craft project.
Right, then it's legitimate rehabbing. If it's at Home Depot, it's legit. These houses create side hustles. I had a video where I talked about this. If you have 10 rentals, you've just created a $20,000 to $30,000 a year side hustle. Like, Deanne manages our properties. When I say manage, she keeps the paperwork, keeps the leases, deals with the tenant, shows the properties, collects the rent, right? Mm-hmm. Does all of that stuff.
All the books.
That would cost it with the number of properties we have, which now we have hired a manager for our shit in Florida, which we haven't talked about, but that's a good $18,000 to $2,000 a month. The property manager on all the properties in Huntsville,
right,
they would get 10%
right,
minimum on all those properties.
Yeah.
So they're at least getting $1,500 a month or more, right? If not more. And
well, and that's just a property manager. Then you still have to have a bookkeeper.
Well,
to get that in order, to then give it to the accountant to get that in order,
and the manager's going to charge you to go look at what's broken.
Right.
They're not going to go over there for
free.
free.
You anyway, bugging
right.
you about crap.
And things that you could have just walked over and picked up and put in your truck and took to the dump next time.
And yes, the property in Florida has
but that's
a management company.
Yeah,
different game. But I want to meet the people that I am showing the house to. Mm. And because of that, I can determine whether or not I want that person to live in my house. Are they going to destroy it? Are they going to not pay their rent on time?
It's almost impossible to calculate the value of that. Because if your property manager puts in one bad tenant,
right,
the damage that could be done,
right,
versus you not putting in a bad tenant. I mean, the spread could be tens of thousands.
And in all these years, we've kicked out one person.
We've never actually had to file a legitimate eviction.
No.
We've started to.
Right. On one property.
So that tells me we didn't get fucking lucky for 20 years.
No, and
it's our process.
And you have to look at things like, what the car look like. Mm-hmm. And not if it's an old car.
Guys, we look them up on Facebook, social media, and if they're...
I go straight to social.
And there's things that are legal and illegal, but nobody can stop you for the things you don't say out loud. Meaning,
right,
there's fair housing acts, and there's laws, and there's rules about what you can do and can't do. I get that. But they can't make you pick an applicant.
No.
So if you don't find an applicant that meets your standard, fuck the government standard, your standard.
Right.
You don't rent it.
No, and I don't,
it can sit empty.
I don't care if you're black, white, purple, green.
No, it's not like that.
Care.
It's the best person.
If you pull up and your car, inside your car, I glimpse in and it looks like a trash heap, I'm not renting my house to you.
No, because you know what the house is going to look like.
Yes, exactly.
Now, if you look and it's like spotless and dude's getting out and he's got his hair cut and you're like, all right, maybe it's a little too nice. This guy might be high maintenance. Right. That's another thing, right?
Or, and I cannot express this enough, meet every person that is going to be living in that house.
We do this, and I don't know if other landlords do this. We have to meet everyone, to include the animals.
Yes.
We meet the dogs.
Yes.
And if your dog is a fucking lunatic, when I meet it, that means your dog's a lunatic.
Well, kids the same way.
Right. So and this is a hassle. We've made people come back 2 or 3 times.
Right.
To meet them. We're trying to narrow it down.
The one time, and they didn't destroy the house or anything, he just pissed me off.
Right.
I met the couple. He was only there for 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. He was on lunch break. I liked her. Everything was fine. Everything, background check, credit check, the whole bit. Everything was fine. And we rented to them, and it was within 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
He's calling about the air conditioner going out on Christmas Day. We live in a small town. Nobody's coming to fix the air conditioner. Didn't really need AC during Christmas anyway. Not a huge thing. Throw on some fans if you're that hot. But you're not going to get somebody in our town to come out on Christmas Day to fix an AC.
Right.
And I think there are places out in the world that actually have people that work.
But he felt like that was unacceptable.
That was unacceptable. And he had the worst, machismo is the only term I can think of, attitude. And I literally wanted to throw a punch him. So I called Gerald.
Yeah.
I said, you need to come over and talk to this man because I'm going to kill him and then I'm going to be in county and you're going to have to come bail me out.
If we don't like him, we move them.
And I screwed that up because I didn't insist upon talking to him
longer than 5 minutes.
Right.
Minutes. We didn't get to know the real person.
Right. And that was 100% on me because I didn't take the time.
Check their social. You know, they may be involved in things that you don't think are right.
Right.
They may be on their... I mean, we've had them where they're on their bad math and their landlord.
Yeah.
Dumb idea if you're a renter, by the way.
Yeah. We get that a lot.
Because we go look.
Right. We get that a lot. Well, when they're talking to me.
Mm-hmm. They'll badmouth their landlord. That's a dumb idea, guys. Because there's two sides to every story. And maybe they're right. Maybe their landlord was a douchebag. It's not to say there's not bad landlords.
And I've had them say really horrid things about the landlord, and then they told me who the landlord was.
And we knew about the landlord. So, it was, we're like, oh, okay. But it's still, it's like playing for a job, and in the interview, you're bad math in your last job. It's a bad strategy.
Right.
If they just start telling you all their life problems, those are red flags. Like, it should be a very cordial, friendly meeting. You should say, oh, they seem like nice people. That's about as far as it, you know.
Oh, they'll tell me all sorts of stuff.
I don't want to hear about their childhood trauma. And, you know, the moment they start telling you, I'm a single mom and I'm barely, like, all that shit, like, that ends up bad.
And just a word of advice, whoever is in charge of managing the properties can't be the person that has a bleeding heart for every little story.
Right. I tend to lean more toward that. I'm easily, not as much anymore, but when we first started, that was a trait of mine.
Yes.
I'm a nice guy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't seem that way maybe on Instagram a lot, but I do Instagram because I think I genuinely want to help people. Like, I'll sit and she's constantly like, I'll do a one-on-one and I charge them for an hour, and 2 hours later she comes down and goes, dude, it's been 2 hours.
Yeah.
I like helping people. I like talking to them. I'll sit and tell a stranger how to buy real estate if they'll listen.
I've lost them to Bourbon Street many times.
Many times. Complete stranger. They don't know who I am. They don't know I've written books. And they get a one-on-one seminar with Gerald Peters, and I don't know what they do with it when they walk away, but I hope they're like me. They're like, dude, one time I met a guy, and he showed me how to buy. Like, I'm hoping they tell that story. I believe in the butterfly effect, though. I believe, like, I could do something for you. That causes you to have means or resources to do something for someone else, and their kid becomes president. Directly, not all the way, but I played a part in that through that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, we're only 3 people away from knowing Elon Musk or some shit, you know, that
weird.
Yeah. I believe in that. I believe there's something to that. It's that what we were talking about earlier, it's better to give than to receive, you know, that concept. But I say what you give, my twist on that is what you give away, you get to keep.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't have the person that's saying, hey, rent is due, be the person that will cave on every sad story.
Right. And you're not in the subsidy of housing business. Like, our job isn't to provide low income housing for people, never raise their rent because, oh, poor Sally has that. That's not your job. Your job is the owner of an asset, and your job is to protect the house.
Because in the beginning, you helped a lot with dealing with the tenants in the very beginning, the first 2 houses.
Yeah.
And I had to take that away from you.
That's back to the beginning. We were talking about division of labor.
Right.
try things, divide it up. You get this, I get this, I'm gonna worry about this, you worry about that. If you're both worried about everything, you're gonna overload yourself.
Right.
And then as you realize, dude, I suck at this.
Yeah.
Maybe switch this with me and I'll do that.
Right, because I didn't care about her story.
Right.
And
she's the social worker.
Yeah,
She's like, I know there's means out there. You're just being lazy. You could have fixed this if you wanted to.
It was this whole thing of she had cancer and blah, 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 and she couldn't pay the rent, but she had 2 adult males living in the house. Right. And all I'm thinking of was, well, let's see. My mom had cancer. She's recovering from cancer. My dad got kidnapped all in the same month. And the phone bill needed to be paid. Right. And it got paid.
Yes.
So that we could actually have a phone conversation with, I don't know, powers that be for getting Kenny back. But, so for me, I was coming from a different place. Don't sit there and tell me and whine to me about, oh, this and this and this. I don't care. Your first and foremost thing in life is to pay your rent, your mortgage, keeping a roof over your head to ensure that your children or yourself or whoever has a place to live.
People struggle with that because I think they get mixed up what their purpose is.
Their priorities.
What the priority is. You're an owner of an asset. And your job is to make that asset as nice as feasibly possible, within reason, so that you can get a market fair value rent. And what we want to provide is a nicer house than what we charge.
Which we do.
We do. So we're already being generous.
Especially in Huntsville. Dear Lord.
Right. We're already being generous.
Right.
And the people that I'm renting to probably cannot afford this home.
Right.
If they had to put a down payment down, go get a mortgage. I've done all that for them.
Well, and they couldn't afford it at the rent that would be required if it were just a rental with other landlords. Right. In our town, it means our rents are lower than most.
Right. And nicer.
And way nicer.
And way nicer. You know why? Because we don't have managers. Because we make more money because we don't pay managers and we don't pay repair people. Right. So we have more flexibility in what we can get for rent. It's okay if we get $25 a month less.
Right. But I'm also going to keep my average tenant rental time is 5 years.
5 years.
And that's average across all of our houses.
Right. And we have basic rule. You have to pay or leave. Right. No, I don't give a fuck what happened in your life.
No, because there's somebody else that could be really happy to have that place.
Right. We're not here to subsidize that. I'm not going to call you when I have problems at my life. You don't call me when you have problems in your life. And if something breaks, I promise you as the landlord, as the owner, it's my responsibility to fix it. And at the same time, as a landlord, I can't say, oh, I'd like to, but I'm not feeling good today.
No.
I don't get to say that. Or I'm sad, so I'm not going to get on your refrigerator. That's not an option.
No.
Same with them. They don't get the option not to pay. And I don't get the option not to fix. Right. And if we both follow that.
I'm busy today.
Right. Or I'm with my friend. No.
I got text messages during Mardi Gras. Probably not the best time to text me.
So when we say we work every day,
I was busy, but
that's why we yeah, man, it's and back to that thing we said. The reason we get up, I get up, and I believe this is the only way to accumulate a lot. To get a lot of properties is hard.
It takes us a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and a lot of people are struggling to get one. Now, guys, think about 2. Now, think about 3. Now go 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And think on that for a second. And do it in a 20-year period or less. This is a project every year, right? Mm-hmm. And to be a social worker, a prison guard, and then now have no job. This is some skills, And
it's teamwork.
It's teamwork. It's lifestyle.
Right.
It's a total commitment. And the reason I get up in the morning is to acquire real estate or buy stocks. And then everything else trickles down. Oh, fuck, I gotta pay taxes. That's an afterthought, even though it's gotta be done. And it goes in that order. Acquire houses, buy dividend stocks, fuck, I gotta pay taxes. Oh wait, I gotta go to the dentist.
Right.
And I'll put off going to the dentist if we have
you always
Right.
put stuff off. Like
I mean,
that.
when I fucked my knee up, I wasn't going to get my knee fixed. I'm working on this house.
Right.
The house always comes first.
Right.
And and I get it, that's a fucked up way for some people when they see that, are like, oh, that's kind of back. I get that. But I promise you, if you do that, what'll happen is you're going to acquire a lot of them. They're going to give you a wealth, financial independence, where later in life, you can be available to those people and you could drop a hat, go visit your kid in college, or go spend vacation. Like, you don't have the constraints.
Thing is, you know, they might think it's fucked up, but the thing is that's our job, is to ensure that these properties are maintained and are continuing to make money. That is our job. So if you have a job outside your home and you know, it's not your own business, but you go to work for somebody else, you still have to show up.
Yes.
If you want to keep the job, which means you're going to get paid.
Right.
Well, we're showing up to keep the job to get paid, because we don't want to have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get ready to go to work.
Right. And we did work jobs. And the only reason I worked a job or worked for anyone or ever took money from another person was to get money to buy real estate or buy stocks.
Right.
Oh, along the way, I got to pay bills.
Right.
And that was always the second thought. I mean, how many times have we like, hey, we owe, and you were telling me something that we owe. I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I got to go get some money. Because I bought Bitcoin, or I put money into my SEP IRA, or I've invested ourselves broke our entire life.
Yep.
And then there's times where I'm like, okay, this month I cannot do that. Not that I don't want to. It's killing me. Today, right now, this moment, I was going to buy some shares of whatever, and I'm like, God damn it. Because we went broke again at 52 years old, worth millions of dollars. We went totally fucking broke.
Yeah, but it's really
buying
nice
a beach condo.
property.
Yeah.
It's really a nice property.
It's really nice. And that's a
Look
true
how much
story,
money
guys.
we're
Like, we
making.
left there, and I'm fucking nervous. It's not renting at first. We don't have any cash. Instagram banned me.
And that's...
Remember? That's like,
God.
What the fuck is happening? Everything was great, and now everything's falling apart.
Well, and the funny part is that you're all on board to purchase, and you know, get the money together, purchase something else, blah, 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 blah. And then we're all in. And I get nervous on the buying of it. And then once we purchased it, then I'm like, okay, I'm all in. I get it ready. It's going to rent. We made a right decision. Boom, boom, boom. It's renting. It's doing good. But as we're walking away from the condo, for example, you're freaking out about,
I was nervous,
shit,
yeah.
how are we going to pay for all of this? I had no fear. None. I had absolute confidence that unit was going to be rented. End of conversation.
And, I mean, that has come to fruition.
Yeah. It's me. I'm the one that freaks out going in for the cost. But once you tell me this is what we're doing...
It is funny. We do it backwards. I'm all gung-ho to buy. And then the moment we buy, I'm like, what the fuck did we just do?
We're all in.
And now I have no money. I'm all in a panic.
Yeah.
And then,
but by that point, I've got it ready to be rented, and I know it's going to make money.
Yes.
I have confidence once you and I put our final stamp on it, it will be rented. Be it a house, be it a condo, whatever, it will be rented. And I don't fear that.
We've never had a problem renting. That's a fear that I get from people sometimes. What if nobody rents it? To me, that's like, ew.
Well, if you have a shitty product, nobody's going to rent it. If you have a nice product at a reasonable rate, people are going to rent it.
We've never encountered, I think the longest we've ever gone, maybe 1 or 2 times, was a house sat vacant for 2 months.
Yeah.
It sits more vacant from us working on it than not being rented.
And typically that was because of, well, in Huntsville, it's because of the time of year. Because it's a college town.
So there's transition.
So there is big transition. And like, we've got 2 coming open at the end of August. Well, by then, we're already going to have college students have already gotten their properties. So
you rent to college kids? Aren't you scared they'll damage the property, sitting there and smoke weed and play video games?
You know what? If you're sitting there smoking weed and playing video games,
We
you're
don't
going to
give
do
a
less
fuck what they're doing
damage
in
to
that
my
house.
property than if you have 3 kids or 2 dogs or a combination of all of the above. Or if you're a bougie little female that mommy and daddy have taken care of everything.
Yeah, we don't like renting to college girls. Not to say we don't.
No, because
we do. Most of the college girls that we rent to now are working on like PhDs and shit. They have jobs. They're older.
No.
Well, Ethan's friend, but we know her.
Yeah.
We know she's responsible.
Because the PhDs were still screwing shit up. So
we've just had a lot of problem with college girls.
Renting to women.
Yeah, we've had a lot of problem with women.
Unless they're older women that actually remember what a scrub brush is to clean, and don't use wipies to clean a tub.
Yeah, it's we really have had more problem with women than men.
100%.
And my wife will agree with that. And they get they tend to either, can't believe you would talk to me like
because their
like
wonderful
that.
little daughters are just so very busy with their school.
If you call their dads, they're like, my daughter would never do that. It's like, yeah, your daughter would.
Didn't.
Yeah, it's yeah. So we rent to college kids. We don't do per room rentals.
No.
I would if I was 30 and hustling, trying to make the most money. I would, looking back.
Yeah, I wouldn't be managing it for you.
I mean, I'm saying I would if I didn't have. I'm just saying, the circumstances are. I don't think you can have hard and fast rules like that. If a person's 30 and they're trying to make the most money and they don't make a lot of money and they have this asset and you could get 2 times the rent by renting to rooms, I'd be happy to run a lease on people to rooms. I'm not saying I want to do that for my whole career, but I would do that. Yeah, I mean, I would. But I get up, I'm trying to grow this business. That's exactly what I would do. But people ask me that all the time. What about trailers? Fuck yeah, I'd buy a trailer. Buy whatever will make money. If it's making money in the beginning, you need to make money.
Right. See, and that's where you and I differ.
Yeah.
I would not rent out rooms to anybody because then you've got the bickering and the crap, and then
I would have a no bickering law.
Well, yeah, but you wouldn't be the one dealing with it.
I know. I'm just saying, like, we shouldn't shut people down from opportunities.
No, if somebody else has the cojones to do things
and you're willing to hustle, I would rent fucking tables if they'll pay me. Like,
no. If somebody else has the
trailer houses, I'd rent anything. And like, I meet people, they're in California, like, oh, everything's so expensive. And then I go look, and I'm like, these trailers cash flow. Yeah. Like, why does it have to be a stick-built house? Like, expand your thinking a little bit.
I know people that have made a lot of money and they have trailer houses. That's what they rent, but that's just not what I want.
Right, but if I lived in California, I would be looking at alternative rental things. I'd be looking at Airbnb. Right.
If I do tiny homes before I do a trailer
I'd be looking at tiny homes. Like, I won't take it's too expensive in my area as a fucking excuse. No. I would get up tomorrow with the intent that I am buying property.
Or go one county over, for Christ's sakes.
Right.
Still within driving distance. Still where you can know what the neighborhood is like, what the people are like. Go drive around. Mm-hmm. Figure it out. You don't have to be in West Hollywood.
No, my buddy Nick is in New Jersey area.
Right.
There's a guy, Ben, in our Money Flow gang. I met him in New York. He's in the Discord group. He's in my group. And, he, same thing. When I met him, he's like, property's too expensive in New York. And I'm like, how many of you walked? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, how many have you actually went in the building? Right. And he's like, well, there's something like, dude, just trust me on this. Start walking them. Right. Well, guess what happens? Through one thing, meeting another. Boom, here's one this will actually cash flow.
Right.
He buys a property in New York fucking city that cash flows.
And a lot of times, too, that it's honestly just getting to meet the people.
Right.
And networking.
And they see your
you're hustling, look
that you really want one. They're going to get you a deal that maybe before it even hits.
We've had multiple opportunities to buy on properties before they even went to market. Mm-hmm. Because of the people that we met while we were walking around looking at properties. And, I don't know.
That won't happen to someone who's half committed.
Maybe we're weird, though, because, you and I mean, well, hell, we walk around here in New Orleans, and it's like we're constantly stopping, pulling up, what is the cost of that? Mm-hmm. What could we rent that for? Is it a feasible option? We would do this on weekends and drive around and go look at properties, and where other people are at the lake or whatever. And maybe we're weird, but I would much rather spend my day looking at investment properties or the potential for an investment property than going to the lake or going fishing.
Right. I want to go to the lake.
I love going
as a
to the
celebration for closing on that deal.
lake. Right.
And we do that a lot. Like
Right.
when we get this house up and ready, we're going on a trip.
Right.
We go to the beach. We're not going to the beach until this fucking thing is done.
Do it get more than one day at the beach this time?
Yes, you
Okay,
get more
thank
than one day at the beach. But that's she's being serious. Like this.
I am being
We
serious.
own
He
a
was-
beach house, and I'm just like, hey, we
He
gotta
was
go.
on the beach every day with the excuse that he had to
Do content on
do
the
content
beach.
for Instagram while I was in the unit getting it ready to be rented. And I finally had to call bullshit and took one day and went to the beach. That was my one day for working.
Right.
So, but no, I would rather go to the lake or the beach or wherever after I've completed the house or purchased or whatever. But and I get it. People want to spend time with their family and their friends. Da 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 da. That's fine.
Yeah, I love spending time with my family helping me paint. If they're not helping me paint, I don't know that I want to spend time with them. Right? Is that true? That's true, right? Like of me.
Yes.
That is true of
There
me.
are occasions though that I've been able to drag you away
Right.
long enough to spend a
But I
day.
think people think I'm kidding when I
with
say
family.
these things. I'm like, dude, if family comes to my house, often you'll turn around and I'm gone.
What do you mean? Often.
Often, most of the time, right? It's not that I
99%
don't.
of the time.
It's not that I don't value time with family. I just know how valuable time is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please know that it doesn't matter the holiday, the occasion.
Right.
Within 5 minutes of any family stepping foot into our home,
Mm-hmm.
he is gone.
Right. Because I don't want
He
to
does
talk
not
about
entertain.
the weather, football, other bullshit they're going to talk about.
No.
It's just too much precious time spent with your brain going, blah, 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 you know, and I just don't have time for that.
No, and you turn around, you look, and he's gone. And you're like, where the hell did he go?
Mm-hmm.
And he's either in the office working.
Like the last time I was with your mom, I don't know if it's because of her age, she just doesn't notice, you know, because her mom's 80-something. So I got earbuds in, and I cannot hear her at all because I'm listening to like some content or Jordan Peterson or something. And I would just nod. I have no idea what she's
Freaking
saying.
do that to me too. What the hell are you talking about?
It's like, maybe I got a disorder. But, and you said maybe it's people like us, like you said that in the beginning. But everyone that we've met who've built up some real estate or some wealth in a business or in stocks, there's
Right.
a lot of ways to build wealth. It doesn't have to be real estate.
No.
It doesn't have to be stocks. It could be we've done both. I'm rare in that I'm fixated on both.
Right.
Most people are fixated on one. But where was I going? Oh, the people that I meet, they're like us.
Right.
Like Robert is fucking weird. Right?
Mhm.
He's my friend. And because he's fucking weird like we are, we hit it off. He knew the price of 2x4s.
I know.
From Friday.
I know.
And I said, what about drywall? He goes, are you talking about, 1/2 inch to 3/4? Because 3/4 inches, blah, 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 per sheet. And
Right.
like, that's weird. And when
That
he
is
was
a little
here,
weird.
remember he was talking about they were
But it
pulling
makes sense.
They were pulling up Realtor app and they were looking
Right.
at the price of that. Like his brain does exactly like ours.
Joey and Paul do that too.
Right.
Wherever they go, they're looking at the prices of housing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, it's not for them to do rentals anymore. It's for them to purchase
For themselves and
for
shit.
themselves. But they don't have to ever work again. So
It's also just an intellectual thing. Because when I would hang out with Paul, we'd be somewhere and he'd be like, how much you think they make? Like his brain would
Right.
go into that too, and he'd be like, man, I should buy one of these. And I'm like, dude, you'd make like $200 a month. And he goes, yeah, that's good, right? And I'm like, you're rich. Why the fuck would
But
you?
he's always trying to figure out how to make money. Always.
Yeah, I'm like,
Doesn't
your wife
matter
spends
how
that
much-
a day on massages. You're not gonna buy because I have this is our rich friend, and like he's always doing this too, and he's talking about buying rental houses,
Right.
and he's the guy that taught me.
To go
And-
back to doing rentals.
Yeah, and I'm like, Paul, you're worth like excess of 10 million. A rental property in your life is like a speed bump.
Yes.
$200 is nothing.
Right.
You need to buy.
But that's where his brain is
That's where his
going
brain.
24/7.
Because that's what started it for him. That's how they were able to build their business. Is they bought houses.
Right.
They got equity. They worked on it.
They lived in the property while they were working on them.
Right.
And then once the property was ready, then they would find the next property, rent the one they were in, and go start over again on the first one.
Today kids call that house hacking.
Right.
They were house hacking before it had a name.
Right.
I don't know how he knew to do that. And then they took the equity from the 5 or 6, 7 deals, whatever they had, and rolled it into a business that went on to make them millions and millions of dollars.
And Jolene went and got a realtor's license after like the first one.
2 people.
Because of the amount of money they spent on a realtor.
Right.
And so she was like, well, screw this, I'll go do that.
Right. So they painted, they lived in it to work on it. And so the basis of his wealth came, and he knows this, real estate. And then he was able to parlay that into something else.
Because he was working at a factory.
American Can. Yeah. So a factory worker, a girl did she even graduate high school?
Yeah, Jolene graduated high school.
But she didn't go to college or anything.
No.
Got a realtor's license. And they parlay that into...
And she came from a single parent
millions
home,
and millions
no money.
And I mean rich, not bullshit rich.
No.
Like real money.
Yeah, no.
Not like paper millionaire. Like we're paper millionaires. Like, we don't have $1 million just sitting in checking. Some people have $1 million sitting in checking. That's real millionaires.
She did.
Yeah, I mean, that's their cush fund.
Yeah.
They got an extra $1 million just in case.
Well, that was one of her rules.
Right.
For him to be investing in others. Because her and Paul are very similar to us in the fact that he was the one always, the wheels were always spinning, trying to figure out how to make more money. And she and I were very similar in, we were like,
let's keep it.
Well, that's fine, but I'm going to keep this chunk.
Right.
So that I have my safety and security net. And then once you guys would come up with a legitimate idea, then we were in. And Jolene was like that too with Paul. And that's when they started the assisted living facility, and then they sold that one. Then they started another one, they sold that one.
Right.
But this is their 3rd or 4th one that they just sold.
Been very successful. The root of all that is real estate.
Constantly out there looking what's available, where it's available, knowing the area.
And they could, and this is important, they could not have done that if they'd have tied their money up in a Roth IRA or in a 401k. Not that those are bad things, because I have a SEP IRA, you have an IRA. But because I hear this advice a lot, they tell, get started soon as early as possible, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, that makes sense over a long period of time, maybe with some money. But that needs to line up with what your goal in life is.
Right.
If your goal is to own a business or be involved in real estate, you don't want money tied up in a fucking Roth IRA. That's dumb. That's not your goal. Because if you
can add to that after you've gotten
That's what I'm saying. They get the shit out of order,
right.
Because if you load up a Roth, you can't get to the money. Now you can't buy the real estate.
Right.
If you bought the real estate, you got money, you can max out the Roth.
Right.
And so they get the order wrong.
Not to say you shouldn't be putting some money aside.
No, repetition is the mother of skill. So, I mean, a little bit, fine. But if you're putting all that money into something that you can't access to, you're 60, 65, you're not going to build wealth in the early, because you need to front load that curve, which was that video that you helped me make. I was trying to make about getting as much early on as you can, and that, to me, that's real estate, because you get to leverage yourself. That's the beauty of real estate. You get to leverage early on.
I mean, but it I don't know, again, it goes back to the bigger picture. Be it when you're looking at a house and the shithole it is, to what you know you can turn it into, to working your ass off, not doing all these things that you think you need to do when you're younger, to being able to look to the later part in life where it's like, I'm very comfortable, I can go do what I want to do when I want to do it. And it's just big picture view of things. Look 20 years down the road, not 2 years.
Right, we're building forever. That's how I like to say it. I buy stocks to hold forever, and that's how I'm thinking about it. and I want to be. Sometimes I tell people like, I want to be rich today, which means I have to keep my money. I have to invest it today.
But I want to be really rich later.
And obviously that's going to compound and grow over time. But sometimes some people, when you say you're going to be rich in 20 years, that's so far away that they can't get started. And if they do get started, it's so fucking tiny. You know, there was a guy who tweeted, and this is, to me, and I could tell by the response that people had, they are fucking clueless on building wealth. They have been lied to their whole life. This guy tweeted that even though the stock market's down, and I covered up his name, I didn't want to embarrass him, that even though the stock market's down, I continue to put $500 a month into my, Roth IRA. I was like, all right, good for you, poor man. And they were like, what do you mean? I was like, first off, $500 a month is nothing.
Right.
You're fucking broke. You put $500 a month. It would take 6 years to even get the money for a down payment on a house.
Right.
What we do, we put 20% down.
Right.
At $500 a month, it would take us 6 fucking years. Now, we bought 2 houses in the first year, and then we buy houses every year. So if I follow this guy's strategy that he's bragging about,
right.
But here's what, if I read all the comments. Oh, they're good for you, man. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, they're lost.
Well,
they really don't understand.
They don't know what a Roth IRA is, for one.
But they thought it was good.
Yeah, I know.
And I took the other side of that. I'm like, guys, this is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
And you would not believe all the responses I got on Instagram. Well, it's all he can do, man. Fuck you. I'm trying to tell you the truth. And they're like cheerleading mediocrity. They're cheerleading because, you know this, you read those reports about the landlords. Oh, the landlord. Like, it's those people.
Right.
And it's like, no, you need someone to tell you. The reason that you can't buy a home is you have bad credit, no fucking money, and you live to consume everything you make.
Right.
That's why.
And I think that people can't look at that 20-year down the road concept over 2 days because everything has become so immediate gratification.
Mm-hmm.
They want a house immediately. Maybe you're not ready for a house.
Right.
They want the job that's bringing in 6 figures. Well, maybe you're not ready for that because you have 0 experience.
Yeah, I never had that job.
Everybody wants everything right now,
Mm-hmm.
and they want a lot.
So you got to switch that want. It needs to be, I want stocks that pay dividends. I want real estate. I want land. When you switch those wants to that.
I wanted security.
Mm-hmm.
More than anything else, I wanted security. And for me, real estate was security.
Right.
Nothing against you, my dear. But if you weren't around, I could continue my real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And I could continue to make a living off of my real estate.
Right.
And then my real estate would then take care of me when I got older.
So you're saying real estate equips your family to provide for themselves.
Yes.
When one of the spouses is gone.
Yes.
It also sets your children up to be abundantly rich.
Well, and I'm not at the mood or the whim or whatever of a supervisor at work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little opinionated.
Right.
I frequently don't play well with others
Mm-hmm.
because I think they're stupid.
Which a lot of people drawn into this world of entrepreneurs and real investing, things like that, tend to be.
And so I've got a better shot of blowing out at a job working for
Right.
somebody else because I got in a fight with my supervisor because I thought my supervisor was a twat. Then
Because you can't win that fight. You can win the fight against the bad tenant.
yeah,
Legally on your
Right,
side.
it's
Eventually
mine.
you're going to win.
it's my house.
At your job, you're probably not going to win.
Correct. And so I'm way better off having
Right.
real estate.
You're way better off, man.
And I like, again, I like the freedoms it allows us to be able to have.
Mm-hmm.
Above and beyond the security of it. It's not only something for me to do every day,
Mm-hmm.
but it's something that allows me, I don't have to start doing it until 10 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
you know, which sometimes is really hard because your contractor wants to be there at 7. But
it's freedom, and it takes 7. This is what I tell people. It takes 7 to 10 years of living for it to build a base, to build it big enough where it can start to sustain you.
Right.
And people live and die for way less. You know, I mean, like give their life to a job or something that's ultimately gives them way less in the end.
Right. Which a lot of times they don't even like.
Right. Because sometimes people like it's a sacrifice to save your money to buy a property, and I'm like, dude, if you were going to be the lead guitarist in some unknown band, you're going to spend 7 years on the road hoping you get a deal,
right?
Hoping you get a contract, right? Living below your means, living poor, sleeping on couches. Like if you study any artist, any whatever, the sacrifice they made to get there. And this is a game that regular people can get in. We don't have to be good musicians or rappers or movie stars.
Right.
Anybody can play this, man.
100%.
Yeah. We probably should wrap there. And hey, if you guys enjoyed this, let us know. And maybe
if you did enjoy us, just shut up.
Let me know that too, and maybe we can talk Dean into coming back on here more. And my podcasts are very freestyle, so we don't really follow an outline. So we just kind of take it as we go. So there's a lot of questions I didn't ask her that I was gonna ask her, but we can eventually get to all of that in the future. It's good to bring ladies on. I don't get a lot of ladies that are involved in real estate that'll even come on a podcast or do a virtually none. That even in the trading world that trade, they don't want to come on. I don't know.
I wish Tanya would come on. She'd be awesome.
Yeah, there's so many powerful women out there. It's cool, but it's probably my follower makeup, 70% men. That's probably why. But let us know, man. I appreciate you listening. Anything you want to end with? Any pearls of wisdom? You dumped a whole bunch of them already.
Pearls of wisdom?
Pearls of wisdom, like
little
pearls.
Pearls of wisdom.
Carry around little pearls that you just, here's you a pearl. Here's you a little pearl of wisdom.
If you're going to make this work, it has to be a partnership.
Yeah, teamship, partnership is super important.
Yep. And crafting does count.
Crafting counts. Crafting is good. Yeah, so I think that's, we really covered the diversity of labor, bringing in your family, being committed to it, meaning you're committed. It will free you. This, what I advocate and what I teach will set you free financially. Fast for some people, like my friend Chris Johnson did it fast. Blake did it fast. These are guys that I, played a part in their life by teaching them what I knew, got rich fast. Other people, it may take longer. It's a fractal game. But I promise you, every 60-year-old out there who's sitting at home retired wishes they had 10 or 12 properties.
Yes.
Their life would be much better.
And
just liquidating them and taking all that equity home would make their life better.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by...
and that's, you talk about exit strategy.
And we're still trying to figure that out. We don't have the answer to the exit strategy yet.
Right.
Although I get lots of suggestions from people that don't even own 2 houses.
Well, and you've gotten my suggestions too.
They got all kinds of suggestions. It's like, how many properties you have? And they're like, 2. I read a bunch of books. And it's like, all right, I'm going to go listen to this guy that did exit. So that's a lesson too. Careful who you listen to, man.
Yeah.
I get pushback all the time. I'll end with this. This is my pearl of wisdom. I get pushback all the time. Like, you're wasting time over there painting and this and that, because I could be doing something else to make more money. In that theory, right? And yet I look at our house that we sold to buy the beach condo. That was a lot of our time, effort, and energy. Good 6 to 8 months to remodel that.
That one took us extra time though too.
And then think about it. 16 years later, we've collected $150,000 in rent. It's paid for. We flip it in a 1031 exchange, and that buys us a beach condo that's now doing north of $3,000-4,000 a month. That's worth $400,000, and we
in less than 6
right.
months.
So all that quote work I did, turned into a beach house.
I don't mind working and working hard
Mm-hmm.
if there's a payoff in the end. And I think real estate is that payoff in the end for me.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's done us very well.
And it's allowed me to invest in stocks, by the way.
Yeah.
Because it's that $2,000, instead of paying the property manager, I could buy some AT&T this month. I could max out our IRAs this month. So that guy doing that $500 a month and was bragging.
Right.
Well, I do $500 a month in yours, $500 a month in mine, and then I do like $5,000 a month in our other one. And most of the time, that's real estate money.
And he lies to me frequently and tells me that we're broke.
We're always broke. I've never been flush. The moment I get flush, I buy a property and go broke. So that's the lesson. Stay broke, man. Stay broke to get rich, man. Appreciate
My lesson to the wives and women is do the books.
to the books.
Pay attention to the books.